Welcome back, dear viewers. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on Nile TV International. And now it's time for our second and final topic of discussion in today's episode. And we're going to be talking, of course, about the very important event Egypt is witnessing today, the first day in the runoff of the second and final phase of the parliamentary elections, the 2015 parliamentary elections in Egypt, the first parliamentary elections to be held post-June 30th revolution, and it's going to be the third and final stage in the political roadmap put forth post-June 30th. And the elections are going to be taking place in 13 provinces across the country. The polling stations had almost opened less than 1 hour ago, and we're going to be also, of course, following the latest developments about the turnout and, of course, the minute-by-minute updates with our correspondents on the ground. But first, let me welcome our guest in the studio for today, Dr. Ali Quori, and he's an economic expert. First of all, good morning, sir, and thank you so much for joining us on The Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Ali. As an economic expert, to what extent the presence of the new parliament will affect the state of the economy?
Well, actually, the president did not wait for the election to take place to start his projects and mega projects, I would say. And that's a good point, valid point, because everybody was saying wait until the parliament is elected, then we can start. So he did not wait, and that's very good. I think that once the parliament is there and they will rectify all the decrees that took place earlier, they have to be rectified by the parliament, we can go ahead full speed in all directions. And I think that the agricultural sector is very, very important for Egypt and the Egyptians, because if you may know that we import almost 70% of our food requirements, whether it is oil, sugar, wheat, and so on and so forth. So we have to put emphasis on this, and the government realize it. They have this mega project of reclaiming about 1.5 million fedans throughout Egypt for agricultural purposes. And then also the new Minister of Industry, I think he's putting the emphasis on letting those factories that are standstill since maybe 2 or 3 years to start working again, because the industrial sector is the main sector for offering jobs for the new comers from universities and those who are waiting in the line for the last 10 or 15 years. So I think that, yes, the government is going full speed, and they will have the support of the parliament. And I think that most of the people elected so far represent a big step forward in the process, the political process of Egypt. And let's wait and see and hope.
Also, sir, if you can tell us more about the direct impact of having a parliament in place on the economic flourishment, and because, as you may know, for the past a couple of years, due to the political stalemate, we had been witnessing some economic hardships and also a hardly hit tourism industry. How can a parliament being elected in place have a positive consequence on this issue?
Yes. As I mentioned, you know, the parliament will give the support to the government. It's very, very important. And I mean that those who are elected should, and they should know about the economic problems and hardship that Egypt is facing. Otherwise, they shouldn't be sitting in that parliament. So they will have an open mind, they will listen and take decisions on the majority, I would say, on those projects that need speedy decisions. You know, like the nuclear plant in El Dama, we've waited so many years, the cost soared so much, it has gotten into the billions of dollars. Had we started 10 years ago, as we said, it would have been much better cost-wise, I would say. And also technology-wise, because now the third grade, or the third generation of those plants are very important, and they are almost 100% secure. So the parliament will play a major role. It will support the president and the government. And I hope those candidates who are going to win will understand that Egypt needs decisions and not just infighting between the various factions. And as I said, I am hopeful this will happen, and hope for the best.
Okay, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Saturday inaugurated the East Port Said Harbor Development Project. So in your opinion, to what extent these mega projects can help in the development of the economy?
First of all, it will hire lots of young people.
Yes.
Secondly, Port Said will gain a fantastic reputation after the completion of those projects. And also, as far as the investors, whether foreign or local investors, they are waiting for this to take place so that they can evaluate what they can do and invest in those projects. Because as we have seen, because of the last years' turmoils, you know, whether it is political security or whatever it is, we were in a standstill position, more or less. Things are moving now slowly, slowly. So if you look around you, all over there are new projects start. It's a very difficult task when you have so many projects at stake, you know, at the same time. It's difficult. That's why you need some excellent assistance. Each one will have his own sphere, will study, will come back to the government and the president because he's very much interested in achieving things. He knows the Egyptian population has suffered so long, they don't want or they cannot wait any longer. They want to see results. But they have to understand that mega projects take a long time to get the fruits that are expected. So I know patience is running out. They have suffered a lot. But let's say, you know, wait one more year. But they are fighting also the government to reduce prices of the commodities. This is very good because, you know, the layman, when he goes to, the lady, when she goes to the market and looks at the prices, she's astonished. It goes up continually. But now the government is providing relief for those people. So you are giving this relief, and this will be an incentive for the people to wait a bit longer for the achievement of those projects.
Yes. Sir, in your opinion, what do you think should be the among the priorities of the upcoming members of parliament? I mean, what do you think should be the first draft law or the first project law they should work on as soon as they're elected and that we have a parliament in place?
I would say they should ratify all the previous laws and decrees, and then later on and so on. But I think the priority is fighting terrorism, because whatever you do, they want to destroy it, whether they are coming from Sinai or from the west, from Libya, and now there is a new front apparently in Sudan.
Yes.
So I would say yes, fighting terrorism is very, very vital and important. And at the same time, they should press on trying to achieve those projects.
So sorry to jump in, but you don't think that the law that was ratified, the anti-terrorism law that was ratified by the president is not enough?
It is, but it is not complete yet, because the parliament is the body to rectify all this. So that, that's what I mean. It's in place, but it has to get the stamp, what I mean.
Yeah.
And if it needs some changes, because things are changing very fast, maybe it needs some changes, I don't know.
Okay, so what about another controversial law, the anti-protest law? Do you think that it should be abolished, or should it remain in place?
It should remain...
because it was you know, it sparked some controversy.
Yeah, I mean, it should remain, but maybe with some alterations. You know, because we see all over the world there are protests, and there are some regulations to follow. It's not
regulating these protests.
Yeah,
Yes.
you see it in the States, in Europe, all over the world.
It's
So
existing
this is what I
everywhere.
mean.
Protest laws existing in many countries.
Yes, it does, it does. And it is controlled in a way.
Yes.
And if any infringements is done, the police jump in, and they have the right to take those people to the post office. Yes, it should remain. We have to have laws to control things, especially at this very important
critical
juncture.
moment of time.
Yes, the moment is very critical. So that's my opinion.
Yes.
Actually, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is now paying a visit to France, and he held many meetings with French officials and others. One of those meetings with the Secretary General of the Organization for Economic Cooperation in France and the French Prime Minister, where they tackled means of boosting bilateral relations on all fields. So how do you see future cooperation between the two countries?
It's
On the
very, very
economic
important.
level, yes.
You know, because we need two sources, either assistance from the international institutions, financial, I mean, or the investors, external or internal. So the more you meet with those people, you show them what we have done, the reforms that we are undertaking, it will give them incentive, yes, to stand by you and help you. And don't forget that we have so many instances that they would like to help, like the African Bank in Africa, the IMF, the World Bank, the European Bank, all of, Japan is helping, China is helping very much. So on all
we had just also wrapped a very important military deal about the Rafale jet fighters.
Yes, Rafale, you know, it's strange because we were the first country to
get the Rafale,
get the Rafale after France. Now India bought, I don't know, maybe 30 or something, and it's spreading, and it has proven itself in the fighting in Mali, I believe, and other places.
Yes.
It's a very good plane, fighter. And then in addition to that, we have two big ships that we bought from France because Russia was supposed to buy it, then they changed their mind because of some political problems. Yeah, so we have this. So people tell me, why spending so much on the army? Come on. It is the only...
In light of what's happening, it's a must.
Yeah, you know, it's the only factor that protects Egypt, that will allow you to work, to invest, and so on, and to enjoy living.
Given what's happening around the world, like Paris, one of the most safest capitals around the world, was attacked and more than 100 people.
And the army was there.
Yes.
The army was in the streets of Paris. You know, because sometimes police are not enough to fight. So jointly they do something, army and police.
So what's your take on Egypt's economic reform plan till now?
I think that the reforms that took place concerning the banks, banking is very, very important and vital because this is the institution that provides the money, the cash. And through policies that control the flow of money, they can influence the rate of inflation in the country. So they did some reforms and they are still working on that, and these are the plans that are forwarded and presented to the authorities outside to tell them this is what we are doing. We are serious in doing this, and we have implemented so far this and this, and we will implement the rest later on. So reforms of the banking and the agriculture sector, because the peasants don't get their requirements in terms of fertilizers and so on and so forth. This should be regulated. They should change the existing law or control it more, because till now they are suffering. They have to buy their requirements from the black market, and this is very, very expensive. It is reflected on the selling price of their products later on.
Sir, we're airing live pictures from several polling stations across the country. If you can tell us about what's your expectations about the turnout for today in the runoff for the second and final phase of the parliamentary elections?
I think that it will be low, as in the last one and the before. Where the problem lies, because I don't think that the various parties explained what their program is, what they want to achieve. I personally, I know about 6, 7, or 8 parties, that's all. In fact, there are over 90. So there is something wrong here. That's why the people maybe are not very much interested.
Lack of information about the candidates.
Completely. I'm telling you myself, you know.
Okay, what's your opinion also about the list of For the Love of Egypt winning 120 seats?
I voted for them because they are...
Sweeping popularity.
Yeah.
Is that because of the president, or do you think because they're qualified and of high caliber?
They are qualified, and those are people that we have seen, we have heard them talking, explaining. So this is what I mean. Lack, as you mentioned, lack of information. Those people I know them. So I voted for them. Others, I never heard of them. What do they think about the political atmosphere prevailing in the country. What other plans, programs? I don't know. So I have chosen this.
Who should we blame for this? The candidates themselves or the media? Who should we blame for this lack of information?
I think the candidates, number one.
They were not on the streets. It's always in studios like here, talking, airing, you know.
So how can people choose their candidate? What's your advice to them?
I think that billboards, yes, they indicate Mr. So-and-so is there. But what is he doing? What is his program, his objective? Nobody knows. So I think that they should have their own people within the party going in the streets, especially in those areas where, you know, the people are suffering, and tell them we represent this and this, and we plan to do this and this, and distribute leaflets with their programs. I don't think they did it, or they did it, you know, just for the form, I would say. But it's their mistake, number one. And secondly, maybe also the media should get involved more in this. So I'm blaming them first.
Yes.
So, sir, how important is to conclude the third step of the roadmap, which is the parliamentary elections? To what extent it will make a difference?
It will make a difference as far as the outside world is concerned.
Yes.
Because we said we have 3 major steps, we've done 2.
What about internally, sir?
Internally, yes, it's very important too, but as I told you, the people are not very enthusiastic about it. But I think that the outside world, to me, is very important as well, because it will give them confidence that Egypt is on the right track. Democracy is taking place slowly, slowly, but we have done it, as we promised about a year ago. And this will help people, help the West to understand Egypt and come to its assistance, whether it is through business people or government, like in France, you know, with the sales of armaments and so on.
Yes.
So it's, I think, number one, internally, yes, they should feel that Egypt has gone all the way as promised, as well as the outside world. It's very important.
So, sir, how can we benefit from other parliamentarian experiments worldwide?
Yes, we have to pick up a parliament that is in a country that is similar to Egypt. You cannot, or you shouldn't, you know, copy parliamentary elections that took place in very advanced countries.
Yes.
People here are different. So maybe you look at India. They have a very solid democratic process that started in 48 or 47 maybe. And they are very similar to Egypt. Just an example. And try to not copy it exactly, but to take whatever it suits you and it suits Egypt and the Egyptians.
But speaking about what suits Egypt, do you believe that having this parliament based on individual seats rather than parties lists is better for us at this moment? Since the parties are fragmented, as you kindly mentioned?
Yes, I think so, because I voted for, can I say the name of the guy that I voted
unfortunately, we can't.
Okay. Yeah. I voted for somebody who was defending the civil rights of Egyptians, and he was talking on TV all the time, and I got impressed. Before he decided to go into that.
Run for the parliament.
So I voted for him. I knew him. He's got good ideas, and he implemented those ideas. It's not just pure talking. You have to do something. Show me that you did this and this and this. So I voted for him. Individually, I think it's better. Because you know the guy, you know through experience, sometime 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, and you know what he is exactly.
But what would you say about the allegations that some are making in regards to this system of voting, saying that this would pave the way for political corruption and reminiscent of Mubarak era practices and so on and so forth? What would you say on that?
This is something that is not a must that it will happen, but it can happen all over the world, not only Egypt. Look at America. All the time there are problems there. It can happen, but if you have the instruments to control this and take swift action against those corrupt candidates, it will show the Egyptians and the outside world that we are serious of fighting, corruption, whether it is in parliament or outside the parliament as well.
Yes.
So this is what I think.
So finally, what is your message to the upcoming parliament, and do you think it can fulfill the aspirations of the Egyptian people?
To fulfill the aspiration, I don't know yet.
Yes.
Okay, they voted for him, they think they are the best people. Okay, let me see what you are going to do.
Yes.
But as I said before, they should stand by the government.
Yes.
They should give this full support and forget about the internal bickering among the various parties.
Conflicts, yes. So, Dr. Ali Quori, economic expert, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insight, and thank
you.
you for being with us on The Breakfast Show. And dear viewers, by this we wrap up today's episode of today's very special episode of The Breakfast Show. Just a quick recap of what we discussed. We talked about the climate summit that took place in Paris, and of course the very important speech of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and also we talked about the parliamentary elections that Egypt is witnessing today and tomorrow, the second and final phase of the parliamentary elections. Dear viewers, you are in the company of Shireen Adel and Karim Gamal Eddin. Until we meet again, this is goodbye.